Hi guys, today's video is going to be the start of a new series on my channel, and the follow-up videos, I don't know when they're going to come out. It could take a while, but let me just start by saying what motivated me to do this series. So, a couple of months ago, I decided, well, I've been studying German, and I think it's safe to say that I've mastered this language now. Ich weiß nicht, ob da ein Beweis notwendig wäre, aber ich kann schon flüssig sprechen. And so, it's kind of cringe now, but I've mastered the language, and I've done so by mainly watching Netflix. So we'll get to that in the video. But what I wanted to say is that I've studied mainly through Netflix, and I've learned so much, but at some point, there's like this ceiling and you can't move past that with Netflix. It's just you get to know a lot of words, but not like any special words, anything that's where you're thinking like I could use this in a business meeting because these words are just not used that commonly in these types of TV shows. And so there's going to be different types of studying methods that I'm going to go about now with German, but I thought I still want to watch Netflix and I still want to feel productive while watching Netflix. And that is why I've said to myself, and now the big reveal of what language is next, what's next. It's going to be Italian for everybody that's wondering. Italian, why? Because Italy is beautiful, the language is beautiful, and as a kid, I used to go to Italy from time to time, and I've enjoyed it quite a lot. So that is why I've chosen Italian as my next language. And I'm going to share my progress in the next couple of videos, just a bit of progress now as well, because I've started already. But this video is mainly supposed to be about my language learning system. As you can see it here. What am I doing? How am I going about this? Um, yeah, I think we should just get right into it before I forget anything. Um, First things first, I started by setting a goal. And the goal was basic. It was to learn the language, and by 2025, by the end of this year, I want to be able to understand certain things and to have a basic conversation and like have a basic understanding of the grammar of the language and how you just I don't know, in some scenarios where it's not going into too much detail, just that I can be able to understand people. And not to spoiler anything, but I think that I'm at this point already. And I've got 2 months left, so I'm very, very confident at this point. But we'll see. So that is setting a goal. And the next step is going to be, I'm going to zoom out, is going to be setting up a system to achieve this goal, which is basically this whole thing. We're going to move along this path, and we're going to come to my first kind of modification of my lifestyle that I've made to accomplish this goal. And that is I've added morning podcast automation. If you want to know how exactly how I've gone about doing this, I've just used my Alexa. I don't want to say it now because she's gonna. Okay, she didn't notice. I've used her, and she is playing each and every morning a part of an Italian podcast for about an hour while I get ready, and that's just gonna, without any, like, I don't have to do anything extra. It just happens automatically, and I'm getting exposed to the language subconsciously. I don't know how effective this is, but I've set it up once. And if you want to see a video of me setting it up, I can make a video of that. Just let me know down in the comments. But yeah, that's basically what I did. And now every morning I get woken up by this podcast. It's kind of like my alarm clock, as I don't need an actual alarm clock. It's pretty cool to be woken up by this. Kind of gives you a feeling of a holiday, and I've kept it around for quite the time now. It's been a few months, and I haven't turned it off because usually, or at least I thought that this could be annoying. But yeah, I'm happy to say that it hasn't become annoying yet. with this, I get woken up by it and I just start listening to it. And sometimes I don't listen to it. It just plays in the background, which is, I guess it's okay. It's fine. Um, but it's not as effective. So it's nice to have, but it's not like I'm betting on this horse that this is going to win the race. But yeah, it's they're just conversing, and it's a special podcast. It's the Coffee Break Italian podcast. So if that's something you want to listen to, if you also want to study Italian, I believe they also have different languages, so you can check those out as well. It's pretty cool. They talk in Italian, but they also talk about the grammar in English, and they have different modules. It's pretty cool. Um, but yeah, this happens automatically. Don't have to think about it, and I get exposed to this first things in the morning. And it's also pretty cool because I'm getting ready for the day, and I'm just listening to something, and it's not boring. It's like not. I don't have to pick out a YouTube video. I just listen to the podcast that is playing anyways. Now, the next point might be controversial in some sense, but it's just like the morning podcast. It's a supporting fact. It's not something that I totally rely on. It's just something that I do additionally. And I do it every morning or every night, just every day, at least one lesson of Duolingo. I know it's not the most efficient way to learn. It's blah, blah, blah. I don't care about that. I just do it. It's fun to have a streak, and it keeps you going. Every day you're doing a little Italian. And with this other podcast automation together, you're already building up a system that gets stronger and stronger with each step. So I don't think there's a lot to say about Duolingo. It's pretty fun. I used to do a lot of lessons, but now I've just switched to doing this one short lesson each day, and I'm already sick of it. I don't want to do it anymore. But at some days, but I'm still doing it, and that's part of my routine. Then the next point on here is something I'm not doing currently. That is why it is dark green here. And that would be radio. I don't listen to radio, but if I was, I would choose, or I would add an Italian radio station. It's super simple. Just if you have radio on your phone, just switch or just add an Italian radio station. And in between the music, they talk a bit of Italian. I had this with a different station, or my parents did. So that's kind of where I got the idea. It's pretty cool, but it's not something that I'm currently doing because I don't know in what way. I don't want to download a radio app. So yeah. Next things on here, weekly tests, grammar tests, whatever, can be a test online. I'll be going into this in more detail once I actually do this. I've done this before, but since uni started again and I had to study a lot, I didn't find a lot of time for stuff like this. I had to minimize my extracurriculars. That is when I stopped doing it. But it is something that is pretty useful because you kind of get to track your progress, and you kind of get to see where your problems are. So I would recommend doing that. If I start doing this again, I will obviously make another video on this and go into more details, which websites you can use, which tests you can go ahead and complete. But I'm just assuming, and something that I would do now is either buy a book with exercises, and I'm putting exercises and tests into the same category here. And I could add this, but I'm telling you now. But yeah, I would go ahead and do that. Buy a book, do some tests, do some exercises, and then track the progress. And I would go ahead and buy like a preschool book. Or maybe preschool is too easy, but elementary school, you get what I'm saying. Then let's move on to the next big part, which is, it could be dark green because for a long time I haven't been watching Netflix, as I didn't find the time for it because of uni again. I had to study a lot, so I didn't want to waste time with Netflix. But now that I've kind of calmed down again with my strictness, I have found myself watching a lot of Netflix again. And Netflix is cool because with there's different stages. You start watching with subtitles, and then at some point you turn them off, or you turn them from English to Italian, and then you turn them completely off, blah, blah, blah. There's different methods. Could do a full video on each one of those points. Just let me know in the comments if that's something you would like to see. But yeah, Netflix is pretty much the coolest point because it's something you probably enjoy. But you're also productive. And there's this sweet spot of you know enough of the language that you can understand what's happening by just looking at the people and understanding some words. And then there's like the end of the spectrum where it's super cool to watch Netflix, but it's not that beneficial anymore because you know way too many basic words. And now the next step will be to learn specific words, like business words in that specific language. So that is kind of like the area that I've been in for a long time with German, but now I just feel like I'm out of this zone, and that's the time where you move on to the next language, or at least that's what I'm doing right now. But yeah, this is Netflix. I think this is going to be pretty cool. I'm now in the stage of the pre-stage, which kind of sucks because I need subtitles. I understand some words, but others I don't. And I've also noticed a difference. There's a difference between watching TV shows that you already know, or movies, and watching something completely new, which something completely new obviously is way harder because you don't know what actually is happening in the TV show. And then there's watching kids' TV shows or movies, which is like the best thing you can do. Watching Disney movies, for example, because of the facial expressions and everything, that's like the coolest thing you can do. And that's what's going to be easiest. And so that's what I'm doing currently. I'm starting with like rewatching old movies from my when I was a kid, which is pretty cool in itself, but then also in Italian. I'm learning something new. And yeah, I'll see the sottotitoli, or I don't know what it's actually called in Italian. The subtitles. I'm looking forward to watching it without subtitles or Italian subtitles, which is in itself, in a different way, also cool because you get to see the writing too, so you get to learn that as well. So there's different stages, different phases. If you want to see a full video on that, I would be super excited to make a video about that because I don't know, I could talk about that for hours. But for this video, I'm going to keep it short. This video is already way longer than it's supposed to be. We're going to go over to the next point, which is evening podcast automation. Don't have to talk about this too much. It's basically the same thing as the morning podcast automation. It's just that this automatically happens while I'm doing my evening routine, brushing my teeth, getting ready for bed, etc., etc., or cleaning up a bit. It's just increasing the overall exposure to the language. It's like what you're trying to do is simulate as best as possible that you're living in Italy and kind of doing like an exchange year or whatever, but at home. And so that's what these different things are for. I hope this video was helpful for you in some way, or at least entertaining. Let me know if you also like learning languages, if what languages you actually do speak, and if you're gonna give something of this system a try. And also, if you have any other methods, systems that can help you learn a language, maybe then also help with the actual conversation part, like talking to people, because that in itself, you learn a lot by just listening, but talking is also an important part through which you learn. So I don't know, maybe talking partner, maybe the Duolingo has this feature, which I don't really like, but maybe making videos in Italian just for myself, talking about certain things, trying to at least, maybe that could be a cool thing that helps you learn talking Italian with the pronunciation and everything. But yeah, let me, in case you do have something of that sort, let me know down in the comments. And with that being said, I want to thank you for watching this video. And if you don't want to miss out the other parts, hit that subscribe button. That being said, see you in the next one.